And now we turn to Daf Mem Gimel Amid Beis, and we're trying to explain the Mishnah in Ksubis and the difference between the Reisha and the Seifa, whereas in the Reisha, we established that Mishalim al Piatzmo, in the case where a shor kills a Ben Chorin, and in the Seifa where the shor kills an Eved, and we're dealing with Kofer, ain't a Mishalim al Piatzmo. And now we're saying that Idi ve'idi Dom, that even the Seifa is not talking about Kofer, but rather about Dom. And we're going to have to come to some fundamental distinction between the case of a shor killing a Ben Chorin and the case of a shor killing an Eved, and we're limited now to Dom. So we're not talking about Kofer. So the Gemara makes the following distinction on the top here of Ben Gimel and Beis Miyud. Ben Chorin, Mishalim Kofer al Piatz. In the ratio, we have a precedent of a scenario in which the shor killed a Ben Chorin, and we have no evidence to testify to that effect, and the Baal came and confessed, and he pays Domim al Piatz. Hechi Domim. Di Osu Sadi Vyashidu Beidekota. We have Aiden that testified that the shor killed a Ben Chorin. So now there should be a chiyuv domim on the Baal of the shor, on the part of the Baal of the shor. We have Adim that his shor killed an Adam. But v'lo yadi tam havi muad havi. The Adim don't know if the shor is a shor tam or it's a shor muad. Now a shor tam is potter from kofer. A muad is chayiv kofer. V'amar mari. And the Baal Shor comes in and tests and confesses the muadhu, that the shor that killed this person was a shor muad. Now, in such a case, we will put the shor to death. Why? Because we have Adim that testify that this shor killed an Adam, and it matters not whether it was a tam or a muad. So now we had a principle that we learned on Amid Aleph that kol she'ein hashor b'skila ein ha'bayil mishalem kofer. That no longer applies over here because the shor is put to death by stoning based on the Eden. And therefore, if the shor is going to be put to death, the mishalem kofer al piatzmo. So again, if we have a scenario in which the shor is put to death, then there's going to be a chiyuv to pay kofer to the yorshim of the dead victim based on the confession of the Baal. Now, even though, again, if it was a shor tam does not pay kofer, but the Baal is confessing that it was a shor muad. Oh. Okay, so we now have a breakthrough scenario in which you can have, in the case of Ben Chorin, that he pays kofer al piatz. Okay, now, even hecha deleka edim, let's say there were no edim that came in to testify about the negicha, about the attack, and that's what the Mishnah in Ksubis is referring to, but rather all we have to go on is the confession of the Baal Shor. Now, we can't impose a chiyuv kofer on the Baal Shor because the shor is not put to death. There's no edim against the shor. So if there's no skila, then there's no kofer. Because kofer, as we said through the hekesh, depends upon skilas hashor. However, Mishalim Damim, his shar killed a person, and although there's no outstanding evidence to that, no Eidim, but nevertheless, based on his confession, we know that his shar killed an Adam, so he has to pay Damim. That's not an issue of do we put the shar to death or not. Do we put the shar to death or not is going to determine the halacha of kofar, but not the halacha of Damim. So again, we do have a breakthrough in which shar shehemis ben chorin, the Baal is going to pay based on his own odah, and that's in the case of Eidim that testified that the shar has to be put to death, but we're not sure if there's a chiv kofer, because the Eidim don't know whether there's a tam or a muad, and based on the odah spaldin, he will pay kofer. So therefore, we know that there's a payment of kofer in the case of Ben Chorin based on Al Piatzmo, and therefore he pays Damim Al Piatzmo in the case where there were no Eidim at all. But in contrast, Gabi Eved, She'eno Mishalim Knas Al Piatzmo, in Eved, there is no case whatsoever that we can come up with, no scenario in which he pays based on his own confession where there's no Eidim. Ve'echi Dami, because Ti'i Osu Eidim Vasida Be the Kotal, if the Eidim testify that his shar killed an Eved, V'loyadi Itam Hava Imud Hava, they don't know whether the shar that killed was a tam or a muad. If it was a tam, it's potter from shloshim shel eved, or it's a muad, it's chai b'shloshim shel eved. V'yama mari muadhu, and the Baal Ashar comes into Bezdin, and he confesses that the shar was indeed a shar muad, and the shar is now going to be put to death. And the reason for that is because there are Eidim that testify on the negicha. V'lo mishtalim knas al piatzmo. But the kofar is dependent upon whether it's a shar tam or shar muad. He, the Baal, confesses that it was a shar muad, and that's called modav knas. And modav knas is potter. So we don't have any scenario in which a person will ever pay shloshim shel eved based on his own hodah. And heichid leka edim lo mishalim damim. And therefore, in the case where there are no edim, and we're dealing with a hodah that his shar killed, he doesn't pay damim based on his own confession in the case of shar haragas ha'eved. And that's the seifa of the Mishnah in Ksubas. Maser Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. We're going to ask a kasha now on this last explanation of the Mishnah in Ksubas based on a brisa kol shechai ben chorin, chai be'eved ben bekofer ben b'misa. We have a brisa that makes an absolute equation between the shar that killed a ben chorin and the shar that killed an eved. And in both cases, there's going to be the same dinim, the same conditions, same requirements to generate a chiyuv kofer. So the Gemara says, kofer bi eved mi'ika. Now, the Gemara is differentiating between what's called shloshim shel eved and kofer. So the word kofer in this brisa is very strange. What are you talking about kofer? Kofer is when a shar kills a ben chorin, not when he kills an eved. If the shar kills an eved, you pay that standard price of shloshim shel eved. Elolav, we must assume that the brisa is talking about damim. And here we equate the din of ben chorin with the din of eved. In both cases, a chiyuv damim. So the differentiation between eved and ben chorin, number one, is whether you pay a standard shloshim, and number two, whether it's kofer. In the case of eved, it's not kofer, it's damim. However, vis-a-vis the chiyuv damim, there's no difference between ben chorin or eved. Now, Rabbah had explained that a ben chorin is chayiv damim based on his own hodah. And yet, in the case of eved, he's potter midamim. because we're not going to kill the shor. So some say that the same Rav Shmuel Bar Rav Yitzchak who asked the question gave the answer. According to a different tradition, Amalei Rabbah, it was Rabbah who gave the answer. Hachi Ktani. This is what the Brisa means. Kol shechai ben chor bekavana al pi edim kofer chayav be'evid knas. In other words, the Brisa is equating ben chorin and Evid not in terms of hodal piatzmo, but rather in terms of kavana and shaloba kavana. In a case of hodal piatzmo, we have no independent evidence, then there's no domim for Evid. That was the say for the Mishnah Ksubas. But the Bryce is talking about a case where the Edom testified on the attack of the Shar, and the Bryce comes to equate the din of Eved to the din of Ben Chorin. And that is that if the Negicha was done by Kavana, then in the case of Ben Chorin, there's a Chiv Kofer. In the case of an Eved, there's a Knas of Shloshim Shal Eved. But Kol Shechayev Ben Chorin Shalo Bekavana, Al Pi Edim Domim, Chayev Eved Shalo Bekavana, Al Pi Edim Domim. If the Negicha was without Kavana, then in both cases of Ben Chorin and Eved, there's no Chiyuv, Kofer, or Knas. And the reason for that is because the animal is not put to death. And we have the principle, Kol She'ein Ein Beskila, Ein Ashor Beskila, is Ein Abayel Mishalm Kofer B'Shlosh Shel Eved. So in both cases, the Chiyuv is a Chiyuv Domim. Amalei Rav rejects this pshat. If you're talking about a case of a Chiyuv Domim, when the Shar killed a person and there were two Edom to testify to that effect, and you're telling me that if there's no Kofer or there's no Knas, is Isho Shalo B'Kavana Al Pi Edom Nishalim Domim. Okay, so here we have to introduce another sugya, which is implicit, at least, back on Daf Tesam and Beis Geder. There's a Rashba, the Tosfos, a lot to talk about here, but basically the pasuk says in Kofer Yushas Olav, and the extra word Olav is a miut velol isho. So in the case where a person kills someone with an eish, it's he lit the fire travels and kills a person, and there was no kavana. Let's say, for example, the person couldn't run away. He was tied down. So in such a case, he doesn't pay kofar. And that's based on the pasuk Olav. So it's a separate din in Eish. So Rava now objects to Rav, and he says, if there's a chiv domim farigas adam al pi edim, in a case where there's no kofar or knas, then isho below kavana al pi edim should pay domim. Because in this case, as we said before, based on Olav, there's a ptur of kofar. And now you're telling me that when there's a ptur of kofar, then domim checks in. So we should mechayev him domim. So how does Rava know that that's not so? Maybe he does have to pay domim. Uminoli de Rava de lo mishalem domim, if he killed a person who was kafus through Eish, and that's why Rava raised this cash against Rava. If it's based on a Mishnah later on Daf Samach Aleph Amid Beis, a man lights a fire in a godish, in a haystack, and there was a goat that was tied up to this haystack. The Eved Samachlo, but the Eved was standing next to it. The Nisraf Imo. Not only was the Gedi burnt to death, but the Eved was burnt to death. Is Chayev. He has to pay for the Gedi. He doesn't pay for the Godish. And the reason for that is Kimlev the Rabbi, but he's potter for the Eved because the Eved was standing and not bound, and he definitely should have run away. But Eved kafas lo gedi samach lo. If, on the other hand, says the Mishnah, the Eved was bound and he couldn't run away, the gedi is samach lo, so he doesn't have to pay for the gedi because the gedi should have ran away. V'nisach imo potter. Now, what does the word potter mean? So Rava here assumes that the word potter refers not only to the gedi, but also to the Eved. Again, in the case of the gedi, he wasn't kafus, so haylo livra. But on the Eved who was kafus, why isn't he paid? And the answer is because there's no chiyuv damim if you kill a person with eish. And now Rava is justified in attacking Rabbah. Why is there no chiyuv damim in eish? If you're telling me that whenever there's no kofer, and we learn from Olav that there's no kofer if you kill a person with eish, then Rabbah's principle is now we plug in damim. So why don't we plug in damim in the case of eish? And here it says, Nisraf imo potter, even though the Eved was kafus. And the Gemara rejects it. Amar Reish Lakish, again, this is sugya back on Daf Chav Beis. Kigon shehitzitz begufo shel Eved. This is not a case of Eish. Eish means you light a fire and the fire travels by virtue of the wind carries the fire, and you kill somebody. Here, he took the fire and he literally applied it to the body of the Eved. So he's a rotzeach mamish. Therefore, he's chayav misa. So if you'll tell me, so why does it say potur? The answer is because of Kimlev the Rabbi Minei, since he's chayav misa for killing the Eved by applying the Eish directly to the body of the Eved, and that's a ritzicha. Therefore, even though simultaneously he generated a chiyuv moment to pay the Baal HaEved the value of the Eved that he killed, but nevertheless, Kimlev the Rabbi Minei. Now the Gemara goes back to find an alternative source for Rava's assumption, his premise when he attacked Rabbah, that there's no chiyuv damim be'eish. V'ela mehadetanya. Rava derived his conclusion from the following brisa. Chomer, the eish mi bebar, is a chumra in niskei eish that goes beyond niskei bar. She'eish muedis lechol ben a roila. Bein tova roila, bein tova shein a roila. Roila means wood that is combustible, and ein a roila is called lichecha ha'eish karka charusha. Right, that the fire scorched the ground that was already threshed, and now he has to do another threshing. Well, let's say he burnt stones. I mean, this is called ein a roila, and yet eish is chayav. Mashen kibbe bar. Bar is a kula. Because bar is only chayav for davar regular. Like, for example, let's say you dig a bar that's only 9 tefachim deep, and a person falls in and dies, or kalim, whatever it might be. So we say that that usually a bar of 9 tefachim would not kill, let's say, an animal. Ein regilus bebar meimis bepachas me'asor tefachim. Fine. So that's a kulin bar vis-a-vis H. Furthermore, says the Brisa, ve'ilu ha'esh mishalem shelo b'kavana damim masha ein kein bebar. So we said many times that bar is part of misas adam. Right? It says v'nafal shoma shar o chamor shar v'lo adam, etc. Chamor v'lo kelim. So if a person falls into the bar and he dies, the Baal bar is potter eish, has to pay damim for misas adam. Correct? Lo k'tanim. But that we don't find. In other words, when the Brisa looks for a contrast in which there's a chumra and eish vis-a-vis bar, it only comes up with davar shein roila. And the question is, why didn't it come up with the fact that a bar is not chai for misas adam, whereas an eish would be? So we have no choice but to conclude that an Eish is not Chayiv for Misas Adam. Meaning the Eish doesn't pay Domim. Not sure why he says Shalom Kamfan. Okay, so the Gemara rejects it. Dilma Tani Vashir. Okay, you're being indicted from the fact that the Brisa left this out. That's not such a problem. Ella Rava Gufa Iboy Mi Boile. Rava never really raised an objection bivados with a definite question against Rava with regard to Eish. Rava himself vacillated back and forth, and he wasn't sure whether there is a chiyuv damim if a shar is no geach below kavana. I'm sorry. According to Rava, who holds that there's a chiyuv damim if the shar kills shelo b'kavana, what would be the din? That's what Rava was doubting about it. And isha shelo b'kavana mishalim dom lo. And what does the suffix be? I mean, should we say legabi shar? Only legabi shar who? That since the kavana mishalim kofer shelo b'kavana mishalim domim, aval eish the b'kavana lo mishalim kofer, as we said before, Allah excludes eish. Shelo b'kavana nami lo mishalim domim. O Dilma, what was the other side to say that in eish there should be a chiyuv domim? Kevan de gabi shoro shelo b'kavana afal gav de leka kofer mishalim domim. Gabi eish nami afal gav de b'kavana lo mishalim kofer shelo b'kavana mias mishalim domim v'lo yadin and teku. Ki also Rav Dimi Omer Rav Yochanan. When Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael to Bava, he said in the name of Rav Yochanan, Kofer. It's enough if the Torah would have said the word Kofer. And why does it say Im Kofer? This is a pasuk in Shmos Chaf Aleph. And the Im is a ribui. L'rabos Kofer shelo b'kavana ki Kofer b'kavana. So although we had Rabba Shita here on Daf Mem Gimel and Aleph that Shahareg Adam Shelo B'Kavan is Potami Kofer, the dissenting view of Rabbi Yochanan based on the extra word Im is that indeed a Sharmua that kills an Adam without Kavana is Chayav Kofer. The Baal has to pay Kofer. And that's based on the Ribui of Im. Amalei Abaye, Rav Abaye turns to Rav Dimi and he says, Elomeata Evid Nami. If you're darshaning the extra word im as a ribui of shelo b'kavana, matal melomer im evet. Right? We have a pasuk in the same parsha, two psukim later, im evet, yigach shor, yigach hashor, etc. Is we should say l'rabos evet shelo b'kavana kevet b'kavana v'chitei machinami. Maybe you'll say enochinami. Maybe if an evet was killed by a shor shelo b'kavana, nevertheless, the Bailam have to pay shloshim shel eved. Reish Lakish said, Shosha Hemis eved shelo b'kavana potum shloshim shkolim. So how you can differentiate between im kofer in the case of a ben chorin and im eved in the case of an eved? Later, Abdimi says to Abai Gavra Karamis. You're asking a question from Reish Lakish on Rabbi Yochanan. Yeah, Rabbi Yochanan disagrees with Reish Lakish. He holds that even with regard to an Eved, the Ribui of Im is going to tell me and teach me that a Shosh and Ogach Eved Shelo B'Kavana is Chayav B'Shloshim. Kiyasa Ravin. Now, there were two great students of Rabbi Yochanan in Eretz Yisrael, each of whom would transmit the Torah of Yochanan in Bavel. One was Rav Dimi and the other was Rav Ravin. When Ravin came, Omer, he said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that what do we dashing from the extra word im in the parsha of Eved? Eved matam lo Eved. L'rabos Eved shelo b'kavana ke Eved b'kavana. And once again, this is against Reish Lakish, who said that a shosh and ogach Eved shelo b'kavana is potem mishloshim, and now Rabbi Yochanan is being quoted by Rav and is saying that the extra im in the Potsukim Eved is coming to be Marbe Eved Shelo B'Kavana. And there's a chiyuv of Shloshim Shkol. Frekte Gemara, Ulereish Lakish, Nami Nema Mita Eved Im Eved Lo Darish. Are we going to say that according to Reish Lakish, who holds that Shor Shenogach below Kavon is Potter Shenogach Eved Shlo B'Kavon, he kills an Eved, is Potter from Shloshim Shkolim, is, what are you telling me, that the Im Eved, the extra Im, is not a ribui? And the answer is yes. That's exactly what we're going to say, because Kofer Im Kofer Nami Lo Darish. Because Reish Lakish, in opposition to Rabbi Yochanan, did not darshan the Im Kofer in the case of Ben Chorin, and therefore Shosha Nogach Ben Chorin Shelo B'Kavana, according to Reish Lakish, is part of from Kofer. Amri Lo. You know what? You're assuming there has to be a consistency that if we darshan Im Kofer, we have to darshan Im Evet, and in both cases, ribu. No, says the Gemara. Evet Im Evet Lo Darsh. Kofer Im Kofer Darsh. Maishna. What's the difference between Im Eved and Im Kofer? You darshan Im Kofer, but not Im Eved. Eved Im Eved Lo Ksiv V'Makom Tashlumin. Let's look at the location of the pasuk. And there are two psukim. The pasuk of the Im Eved is not written with regard to the Chiv Tashlumin, but rather with regard to the Ikar Anagicha. It says Im Eved Yigach Hashar. So we need the word Im introducing Im Eved Yigach Hashar for its own sake, to be machalik, to differentiate between a Ben Chorin and an Eved. So when you want to switch channels from one to the other, one subject to the other, you introduce the word Im, as if to say but Im Eved. But Kofer Im Kofer, Ksiv V'Makom Tashlumin. It says Im Kofer Yushas Allah. So we don't need the word Im Legufo, and if we use it as a drasha for a riboy, LeRabos Chiv Kofer B'Nogach Shelo B'Kavon. The Mishnah says that if the shar kills a ben or a bas, then the dinim apply, even though it's a minor Tanur Rabbanan. With regard to Shamua, Shaharag Adam in Shpos Chafal, it says, "O ben yigach, o bas yigach, l'chayv al ketanim kigdolim." So the shor is chayv skila, and the bailam pay kofer, whether the negicha was to a katan or to a gadol, and that's explicit in the Torah. So why did the Torah have to say that? L'chora, the Torah went out of its way to teach me something that's redundant. Follow dinu, hoil l'chayv adam bi adam. In the case of a person who kills another person, the Torah says he's chayav misa and chayav shar bi adam, and you have to be sokil the shar, and we stone the shar for killing a person. Is mak shechayav adam bi adam lo shno ben ketanim ben gedolim, is af shechayav shar bi adam lo tchalik ben gedolim ketanim. So when a person is guilty of murder, there's no difference whether he murders a gadol or a katan, because the pasuk says Vayikra Chaf Dalid, it says V'ish ki yakeh kol nefesh adam mos yumos, and kol nefesh means even a katan. So too, if a shar kills a katan, the shar is going to be put to death. So why do I need the pasuk? O ben yigach, o bas yigach. And furthermore, kavachomerhu, we can derive the din from a kavachomer. Ma adam bi adam shelo asabo ketanim kigdolim. With regard to an adam who's guilty of ritzicha, the Torah is mekil and says that the rotzeach is only chayiv. If he's a gadol, if the rotzeach was a katan, he's not chayiv, and that's considered a kula because a katan has a din of a rodev. And before he actually kills the person he's pursuing, we do kill the katan. But nevertheless, if he's not a roda, if he just successfully implemented his ritzicha, then we don't put the katan to death. So that's a kula in Adam. But let's say in a shar kills. Who cares how old the shar is? Is chayabo ala ketanim kigdolim, right? Whether or not the victim who was killed was a katan or a gadol, the Torah says that the rotzeach is chayiv misa, even though the Torah was Mekil and said that if the Rotzeach was a Kohen, he's not Chayav. And how now we're on Memdal, it is Shar be Adam Sha'asabo Ketanim Kigdolim, when it comes to a Shar, whether the Shar kills, and that Shar is a young Shar, or it's an older Shar, he's a Katan or whatever age it is, and a Din Shechayav al Ketanim Kigdolim, where the Torah is more Machmir in Shar to put the Shar to death, even though the Shar is a Katan. Is therefore, how much more so, the Torah is going to say that if the victim of the Shar was a Katan, then the Shar has to be put to death. And the Gemara rejects it. Lo, we're not going to derive thusly. And why not? Im amarta adam bi adam, you're chayiv in the case of an adam, even if he kills a katan. Shekain, there's a chumrah in adam, in rotzeach, shekain chayiv bi arba dvarim. That a person who assaults another human being is chayiv nezek tzar rivu shevus and boshes. He's only chayav nezek, not the others. And therefore the Torah is more machmir in Adam. And therefore maybe the Torah would only be machmir in Adam in a case, I'm saying the Torah would be machmir in Adam even in a case where he killed a katan, but in a case of a shar who killed a katan, maybe we could be more mekil. Talmud lomar o ben yigach o bas yigach l'chayv al ktanim kigdolim. Ainly elabamu adim betam minayin. How do we know that even in the case of a short tam, if he kills a katan, he's going to be put to death? Dinu. We're going to derive it from a bamematzinu. Hol v'chayev beish v'isha. The Torah says that if a shar kills a man or a woman who are gedolim, this shar is put to death. V'chayev v'ben ubas. And it doesn't matter if the victim was a katan. Ma kishachayev ish bisha lo chilak bein tam lemur af kishachayev the ben ubas lo techalik bo bein tam lemur. So tam is also chayev on ketanim v'yod, and furthermore mikav v'chomer ma ish v'isha shekain hura kocham b'nizakim. The Torah is machmir nizakim that they pay, that the mazik is chayev on nizakim. Lo chilak bo bein tam lemur, and even a tam is chayev Misa, Bain, Ubas, Sheyofa Kocha B'Nizakim, and Ketanim, the Torah is Mekil. And if they were Mazik, they're Pturim, you say no din shal techalik b'hem bein tam u'muad kavachomer, that we're not going to differentiate between a tam and a muad. And even there, you'll chayiv misa if they victimized and they killed a katan, whether or not it's a shar tam or a shar muad. Amrit, so the Gemara asks, "V'chidonin kavachomer mechomer lahachmer olav." Can you derive from a b'mematzinu that just like the Torah is machmir in something that's more chomer, we should be machmir in something that's kal? V'yem hichmir b'muad hachomor, and Yechayev even on ketanim is tachmir af b'tam akal, to be mechayev in tam which is more kal even on ketanim v'od, and furthermore. Im amrat the ish v'isha, that you have to pay whether it's a tam or a muad, shekain chayovim b'mitzvahs, is tomer v'benu v'bashe p'turvin mitzvahs. Maybe the Torah wasn't machmir in the case of a benu bas to be mechayev them, even in the case of a tam, because we cannot derive the chiyuv with a b'mematzino or with a kavachomer tam. Therefore, we need the pasuk to say, "O ben Yigach or Bas Yigach," and the ribui of Yigach is going to teach me Ketanim, and also Negicha B'Tam, Negicha B'Muad. We're going to darshan with this ribui of Yigach that even in a Negicha of a Shartam, the Shar has to be put to death, Negicha L'Misa, Negicha L'Nizakim. Even if the Shar was Mazik and it didn't kill, you still have to pay. And that leads us to the Mishnah here on Daf Mem Dal. Okay, now wish you all a great Shabbos, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, and happy whatever hours are left to Chanukah.